This is the College Football Connection podcast with Marty Jenkins and Alvin Reed on 101 ESPN.
Welcome in, folks. College Football Connection. Marty Jenkins here alongside my man Alvin Reed, decked out in his Cowboys gear. My man Bradford Brunch. Y'all both got the Blues swag on. How y'all doing?
I got the Blues hat on, don't I? Yeah, all right. I'm fine, dude.
Love that Cam Fowler acquisition. Shore up the blue line a little bit. Let's make that playoff push. Alvin, congrats on the victory over the vaunted Panthers, although they have been playing better of late.
They have. I'm going to say I'll take it. You know, I was headed this way after the kneel down. I thought even the Cowboys can't blow this now.
I don't follow it thoroughly, but I did hear Bryce Young has had a decent game or two in the last several weeks.
Yeah, but he was awful today.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Turned the ball over too many times. Right. But he was under duress the entire game. So, but anyway. I'll
What is
take
that
it.
Cowboys D?
Just run the table. You'll be fine.
If we run the table, we'll not make the playoffs, but we would go 9-8.
Yeah, true.
Right.
All right. Well, boys, as I sit here, I was thinking about this on the drive in. It's December 15th. It seems like yesterday we were sitting here before the season even kicked off, and I think you and I both had MIZ going undefeated. So time flies.
You know, it's been a sobering
I'll be
week.
the
Wes.
last. Wait, I was thinking about what
You
game?
said 11-1, I think.
I did. I said that, and they might lose a second. Right.
Mhm.
But I was thinking about what game was it that stood out in my mind that seemed like a 1,000 years ago. Okay, and it was the
A&M?
no, it was Georgia Clemson.
Yes.
In that first game of
Oh,
the year,
yeah.
and I said, I
Yeah.
started out, I said, like, man, Georgia's just go beat the hell out of Clemson, which did happen. But I think to myself, like, man, that is an eternity ago.
Yep.
And I thought Georgia would beat the heck out of everyone. Here we are.
Here we are, right?
Yeah, that game was in Hotlanta. That was a long time ago, but the season flies by, and here we are. And last night, not a shocker, our boy from Boulder brings home the Heisman. Genty said he should have ran away with it. But we had the closest race, I think I read, since closest finish since Toby Gerhardt. Was it Mark Ingram?
09.
Was it Mark
Yeah,
Ingram, the
no,
running back from
there's
Alabama?
Right.
Blast
Against
from the
right.
past.
So I just figured because, he plays at Colorado that it would have been a lot, bigger gap from the end. I didn't think it was going to be that close last night.
I did not either. I think that proves to me that some people just didn't vote for him because they just didn't vote for him.
Mhm.
And I'm not, look, there's no way that you could take what he did and not vote for him to win the Heisman Trophy. If you're the best player on defense and theoretically on offense, I mean, come on.
I agree.
And Boise State, God bless you. But, I mean,
But let me – I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brad.
No, speaking of Boise State, it didn't matter to me, guys, whatsoever what Genty did, and it was an unbelievable outing in that conference championship affair versus UNLV because for weeks, in my opinion, it's been a foregone conclusion because you haven't had a defensive player, primarily somebody on that side of the football, take home the hardware since Woodson back in '97. And a few weeks ago, Alvin, we talked about it when Marty wasn't in on that occasion. The fact of the matter is that Charles Woodson, for everything he accomplished for Michigan in that season and throughout his collegiate career, he was not making the plays on offense consistently that Travis Hunter has been able to accomplish. 84% of the snaps, for crying out loud, and Hunter has been dominant on both sides of the football. It's the best individual player in college football all around. You cannot convince me otherwise. Hey, Genty's going to get his insofar as he's going to shatter Sanders, the all-time single-season running mark, with the bowl game to come, of course. But Travis Hunter, far and away, he's a selection for me.
well, if you play, I played 400 more plays than anybody else in college football. Like, come on now. Like, the dude was out there playing football.
Could I convince you to otherwise?
All right.
If I say
Hit me.
If I say Genty wins if he's in a Buffalo's uniform,
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
and old boys playing in Boise.
Yes, I could.
I was thinking about that today.
I could see that because of so-called level of competition. But I will also say this. Didn't the guy at Arizona State do everything Genty did?
Mm-hmm. That dude can run.
That dude running that rock.
And I'm watching out for that team.
Yeah.
And secured the college football playoff berth and first round bye to boot.
Yes.
Thanks to that performance.
Right. So I'm like, hey, talk about handing the ball off and a guy running, squat, low, center of gravity, gaining a whole bunch of yards. Who was better at it?
I like the point you raised, but Colorado doesn't run the football, so that's immaterial.
Right. No, I feel you. But I'm going to say this right now, and you can mark this down on the 15th. I don't care who Boise plays. I think it's SMU Penn State winner. They're going to beat the brakes off those dudes.
Brakes?
Yes.
No.
Genty is going to – it is going to be –
No.
Put your money down.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in a week. But no, that ain't going to happen.
All right, $500 to get into the game in South Bend, my friends. $500.
Right.
I can't pay that money, or else I'd be in South Bend for that contest. So listen, this is, you couldn't have scripted this better. In-state foe plays at Notre Dame, first round of the playoffs. I've been thinking about this one a lot. Despite the Irish having the best defensive line in the country, arguably top 3 maybe. And they get a reboost with him coming back this weekend as well. Against that offensive line of Indiana's, huge advantage goes to the Irish, okay? But I'm just telling you right now, last I looked, 7.5. I'm just really worried about this Indiana offense. I think they're going to score some points in South Bend. And just being a Notre Dame fan in general, Cubs, my teams. I'm not being subjective. I'm being objective.
You just got Kyle Tucker. Leave it alone.
Hey, that was a damn good pickup. I did not see that coming.
I agree.
Notre Dame just makes it as close as possible. And if you win, it's going to only be by a point or two, and it's going to be in the end. They're going to start off early down 21. They're going to have to come back. Listen, I think Indiana, even against a good secondary, I think Rourke's going to get enough time. Even if he has to go with the short plays, short outs. I think Indiana's going to score some points in this one. I also think Notre Dame will score some points. But give me the Hoosiers to cover, okay? 7.5 points. I think they're going to bring a decent amount of fans. I think the Hoosiers can cover 7.5. I am staying away, though, from the over-under Bradford.
Especially early on, I do believe that the points are going to be flying in South Bend, despite the forecast. It's probably going to be in the 20s at that point. The only Friday night matchup we should note as well for the first round here of the college football playoff. 51.5 is your total at present, and I'm just not riding with you. I want you to be more optimistic along these lines, buddy, and here's why. Because only once since October the 19th has this Fighting Irish squad failed to net at least 49 points in a single contest, and I was riding along the same lines with you with respect to the IU offensive attack before the Hoosiers finally ran into a real opponent on the other side of the football, and that was Ohio State. Here's the thing. I don't want to take anything away from what Rourke has accomplished this season. The guy's gone for over 2,800 yards. He's got the 27 touchdowns and only the 4 picks. But what did he do in his lone test that we have to be able to look at and examine against a true defense, an athletic, fierce, physical defense against Ohio State? He was under 50%, and he was sacked 5 or 6 times.
They struggled mightily.
Tell me that same recipe won't unfold here, particularly in the last 30 minutes versus Notre Dame, playing too well on both sides of the football. And Riley Leonard has been perfectly passable to efficient over the past few weeks. But Alvin, the biggest reason as to why this team has gone up a notch or several notches on the offensive side has been because of the twin tandem that are coming out of the backfield. I don't think that you have a more lethal threat right now as far as tandem threats go than what you get from Love and Price coming out of the backfield, especially with those home run hitters. I don't think in that environment that Indiana can keep up for a full 4 quarters.
And let's give a shout out to our St. Louis boy Love.
Heck yeah.
All right.
Coming back. Yep.
Hey, look. Cold ass night in South Bend, Indiana, and y'all think Indiana gonna come in here and play some kind of game? Oh no! Oh no!
Okay.
I'm with you. I'm also playing the under on this one.
Under.
Notre Dame covers 7.5. Notre Dame long extended drives. Indiana, it was great to get here, but it comes to an end on Friday night. And I think Notre Dame is making the statement that okay, why are we playing in this game? The only reason we're playing in this game is because we're not in the conference. So let's beat the Big Ten, and let's move on. Okay, Notre Dame covers that 7.5. I'm going with the under because I think this one might be 28-14, something like that. So I like Notre Dame. I like them a lot in this game. I think worst case scenario for Indiana, the last thing you want if you get to someplace like this is to have to play like a conference game, or no, like the team we never play that never wants to play us, but we have to go to them on a Friday night and it's cold. No. Sorry.
Okay. So y'all don't even think it's going to be a game. That's what I'm hearing.
Two tutties. Minimum.
Two tutties.
Okay.
They
Go back
cover.
or cover.
They cover.
Love is coming back as well as Cross on that defensive line. But you mentioned Riley Leonard. Okay.
Yeah.
We talk about Indiana versus Ohio State. Riley Leonard been putting up some serious numbers against some bad teams. Okay. And we've seen Riley Leonard against some good teams, and that dude craps the bed. Okay, I'm still giving Riley Leonard a couple of turnovers in this contest, and I think
put it in the guts of your RBs.
Yeah,
You'll be all right.
I was just going
Love.
to say the same thing. Run the ball.
Okay.
Run the ball. Run it a lot.
That's the fulcrum of your offense.
Yeah,
It
like
has been for
run the
past
ball.
month.
I hope y'all are right. I hope it's two
I know,
tutties.
I hear you, but I think you're two. Told you 28-14.
Gonna be texting you guys Friday night while I'm eating my wings,
Yeah.
and saying, "Listen, boys, it's a 3-point game in the fourth quarter."
I will gladly eat crow if it turns out.
I
that
will.
way.
Let's just all go. Let's cough up $500 apiece. How's that sound?
Or
busy
we
with
could
the
like
head,
drive
yeah.
up there and wait till about 10 minutes for the game. And it's 28 degrees outside. There's some people that say like, I can't do it.
Man, y'all want a hotel room? I don't care if it's Super 8. Those are thousands.
Oh,
a
we can
night.
sleep in the car, man.
Yeah, that's
Not
right.
all
All right.
together, but
We'll sleep in your Subaru, Alvin. Okay,
Whatever it takes.
let's move to a whatever it
If
takes.
I had to, right.
Let's move to another cold atmosphere. Let's go to Happy Valley. Okay, number 10 SMU, one of the biggest stories of the season thus far, along with the Hoosiers. They go to number 4 Penn State. Okay, let's double check here. 8 to 8.5 currently, but the big number here, it's gone from 52.5 to 54.5.
Ooh,
Yeah, I saw that today as I was coming in. So
don't like that.
yeah, the Sharpies are expecting some points in this contest. Let me start with this because we talk about James Franklin and Ryan Day for that matter,
True.
not being able to win the big game. And I'm thinking, if he wins this game, this by no means gets him over the hump because you're supposed to win this game.
You have 3 to go. You would have 3 to go.
exactly. You ain't getting over the hump until you win this game. And then if you win the next game, then I say you're over the hump if you make the Final Four.
Then we can talk at least.
Yes.
I think we're at the crown of the hump if they win this game because it is a
Really?
true playoff game.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that this dispatches all past bad losses,
Mhm.
but I'm saying like, hey, crap was on the line, and disaster is on this side if you lose, and a pass is on the other side. I think he gets the pass if he can win this game. I believe Penn State wins this game. I
Okay.
believe SMU covers.
Can you imagine?
Wait. I'm sorry, Bradford. You got SMU covering. Do you
Yes,
have a
I
feel?
do.
Do you have a feel on the over/under?
I think that's too many points.
Okay, so you're
It's a
going with the
ton.
under.
It's an absolute ton.
Sorry about that, Bradford.
Can you imagine the reaction
If they
if
lose,
Penn State were to somehow botch this opportunity at Beaver Stadium?
dude.
That's a fairly large number, 8.5. The point total is absolutely incalculable to me. I am going so under on that. I mean, if you were to prompt me for a lock of the week, whether an outright winner or over-under, it's the under in this contest. I am torn as to SMU, the ability here on this huge, massive stage, 11 a.m. kickoff, if I'm not mistaken, getting started
Yes.
with the Saturday wave of contests that we have. It all comes down to me to exactly how well Kevin Jennings, quarterback for SMU, is going to be able to handle this stage, okay? Now, did a lot of things right. Once again, in that comeback, it was an unbelievable turn of events versus Clemson, only to fall short at the buzzer there with, as we know, the game-winning field goal. SMU's defense, too, one of the most opportunistic in all of the land. And there's a lot to be said, in my opinion, kind of under the radar a few days ago. The announcement, the development there, the D coordinator, Scott Simons, being able to ink an extension to stay put. So you have that continuity. You don't have that reluctance in the back of your minds collectively now. Okay, what is to come ahead? Are we going to be searching out other opportunities and whatnot? Everybody is in it for the long haul there at SMU. I am wondering here, though, if the Mustangs the interior of that defensive line, let's just say the front four altogether, is going to be able to do a good enough job as far as the run defense is concerned. Because you guys know, I have had my quandaries all campaign in reference to exactly what Allen and Singleton have been able to do on the ground, the consistency with which they've been able to run the football. But here, I like the matchup. I like the ability to slash and actually get into that second level. And I do think that Aller as well has a little something more in the tank. Coltonicki, some of the play calling tendencies over the past month have been incredibly, questionable. But at the same time, this feels like a classic Warren game to me. He's been red hot over the last month. In Penn State, it's going to be nip and tuck, I feel, well into the second half. But in the fourth quarter, when it is truly clutch time, I like the physicality there, and I like the bona fides of the Nittany Lions. So somewhat begrudgingly, but I will do it. I will do it with some confidence. I'll say Penn State by about 10 here.
But you're messing with the under as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to take the under also. I do have SMU covering, but I'm going to take the under also. I think if you had to have what we would call a dress rehearsal for SMU, they had it last week. All right, now you got to go to Charlotte, and you got to play Clemson, and you played this game, and they jumped on you with both feet. And you didn't go away, and you had a chance to win that game late, and I think you proved to yourself that we belong here. We belong here. Never mind that Alvin said prove it and was proven correct in his pick last week against SMU, but I think you go to Happy Valley full of the knowledge that, 1, it's 11 a.m., 2, I did look up the weather. It ain't going to be bad at all, and 3, I think what we went through last week against Clemson was tougher than what we're going to go through today in Happy Valley.
Okay.
Oh,
interesting.
Yeah, it's loud, and these people are here. All we got to do is go on top, and they'll be chewing their nails. They'll be saying like, "Oh my God, it's happening again. Yeah, frankly, it sucks. We suck. Everybody sucks." So all we got to do is play our game and make this a close enough game. We could win it, but I definitely think they could cover the 8.5. But I am going with the under.
Dare I say it, it's imperative to, a la in the Ohio State game, have that incredibly strong start for Aller to take care of the football, which he had been doing an extremely nice job of doing so in that department before the Oregon game. But prior to that, hadn't actually thrown a pick since against the Buckeyes. So can you get off to the hot start, and then can you salt it away with the threats coming out of the back?
And let me add real quick. SMU and how they're coming into this game, their offensive coordinator and their offensive players literally could be meeting all this week saying this, like, you know what? Why are we talking this? We got to hang on and we got to blah this and come from behind. They might be thinking like, you know what? Let's roll their ass. Let's put some points on the board.
Yeah.
Who is Penn State that they can stop our offense? Especially that offense we had in the second half of that game against Clemson.
Precisely.
I think they're coming in this game with a lot of confidence. That's all I'm saying.
I hope that happens. And do I think it could happen? Yeah, hell yeah, I think it could happen. I think they left it out on the field last weekend. I think that tank, not on empty, but that tank was full last week. Now it's down to a quarter.
I think it was empty. I think it was beyond empty until they got that slot in the playoff and not Alabama. And I think they were like, whoa.
Reinvigorate.
Let's play.
When I think about, defense, time of possession, turnover margin, all that, the Penn State leads in those categories. And I know this is an opportunistic defense SMU has. I just don't think Aller is good for a couple of turnovers in this contest. And that D-line and that secondary, I know the offense is electric for SMU. I just think it's a really bad matchup for them. Now, this is another game I'm very intrigued about now since, Alvin's got his take and he thinks SMU can potentially not roll in this game, but they can hang some points.
Yes.
And they should be thinking, we're not underdogs in this one. Let's keep the party going. But I just like the Penn State defense too much.
I hear you. That's why I'm playing the under. But primarily,
Me too.
Primarily I'm playing the under because that's too many points.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. But 54.5, the score could be 27-27. We haven't gone over yet. So, I think that's just too many points. And I think SMU could score against Penn State. And if they score against Penn State, and especially if they score early against Penn State, boy, that changes the dynamic of this game.
Well, they go up 7-0, 10-0 at the end of the first quarter. The fingernails will be on the ground in Happy Valley.
Right. And then, like I say, if we pick, SMU 8.5 to cover, man, they're up 7-0 at the end of the first quarter. They said, like, man, they got beat them by 15 points the rest of the game. I don't see that happening. So
Penn State in the under for myself. And I'm just going to come right out and say this right now. as we have Clemson going to number 3 Texas. The most lopsided point spread this weekend, and I think it will be the most lopsided game this weekend. Clemson will not be able to score against that Texas defense, okay? And I think Texas is going to score some points. They have the advantage on the offensive line. They're going against a very bad run defense. What's the over-under on this one?
51.5.
51.5.
And it opened at 54, so people don't think there's going to be a lot of points in this contest.
That's interesting.
I think it's interesting as well. I think Texas rolls in this game. I do not, and I think I'm in the majority on this one. I don't think a lot of people think that Clemson can hang in this contest, which would generally get me to go to the other side, but I just don't think Clemson is that good. And I think Texas rolls in this contest. However, I do not have a feel on the over-under once again.
Here's what I question. Can Cade Klubnik give you back-to-back paramount performances at quarterback? I will give him his flowers for the way, the manner in which he played down the stretch, actually from the very beginning of that game, and then through the second half versus SMU. But consistently speaking, and Dabo Swinney, he can go on College Game Day. He can visit the variety of different outlets and talk about how Cade Klubnik can do things for our program at Signal Color that we haven't seen. Okay, let's just go through the recent history of Clemson quarterbacks there.
Mm-hmm.
It's all well and good, but in the not-too-distant past, what did he do against South Carolina? And what, quite frankly, I thought was a must-win game in that situation. Laid a gigantic egg against upper echelon competition for the most part this season and last. What has he done? We have had so many different questionable performances from Cade Klubnik that when I boil down the matchups here and I really deconstruct both sides of the football, to me, the only quandary is whether for Texas, Quinn Ewers is going to be able to get the requisite protection he needs and that he deserves in order to make this a true blowout. Because if that Lombardi Award winner, Calvin Bakes Jr., isn't ready to go, or he's compromised again at left tackle, what did we see? Yes, granted, against Georgia. Ewers went down 6 different times. I'm not pretending here that the Tigers' front four is going to be able to demonstrate, is going to be able to have that sort of pass rush. But by the same token, I think that this can be a little closer if Ewers doesn't have all of his protection in place. Although I will say, Alvin, I love what the Longhorns now are getting from Golden, who is morphing into a true star at wide receiver. The ground game has been good as well. Yes, it's a big number with Texas being favored by 11, but this team has been smarting for over a week now, ever since dropping the second this season, round 2 to Georgia as well. I'm staying away from the over-under.
Okay.
Here. But I will ride with the Longhorns to take care of business by between 14 and 17.
All right, I'm road dogging here. I am going to take Clemson. I'm going to take those points. Now, this is funny. I left the over-under on this alone, too.
Okay.
I literally did. I said, I don't know what the score is going to be, but I think Clemson will pull through. Come in. I'm going to take my 11 points on that one. All right, Texas. Georgia. You could say that Georgia is your, whatever. But I'm looking at you play, and I'm looking at your quarterback, and I'm looking at yours, and I'm looking at, I got 2 quarterbacks here that I ain't got no confidence in either one of them. And if I don't have any confidence in either one of the 2 quarterbacks, that tends to let me go to the under, which I don't really want to play.
Yeah.
But that definitely takes me to Clemson covers 11 points. And I'll tell you what, it may take a decent punt return, not for a touchdown or kickoff return by Clemson, a turnover that they get into the red zone on, something like that. I'm watching for a play like that because that's the one that I think that will pull Clemson within 11 points. I'm sorry, Texas has not impressed me this season. I understand the high ranking. I understand that they are one of the top 5-6 teams in the country, no matter how you look at it. But at the same time, what has Texas done that any of us just say oh, my God, they are by far the best team in the nation? It has not happened. So why is it going to happen just because they're playing at home against Clemson?
Hypothetically, and if this game were at a neutral site, let's just say, I would be much more inclined to swing that way.
That's what good point. That's kind of what I'm saying. 11 says if you're 5 better because you're at home, you're still telling me you're going to beat Clemson by 6 plus the 5 at home and only 3 at home. And so you're basically saying, like, man, y'all are just infinitely better than Clemson. I'm not buying that. I am just not buying that, especially with you as a quarterback.
There was a brief moment in time where people did have that mentality that they were the best team in the country the first few weeks of the season after that beat down at Ann Arbor. But after that, that was it.
That was it. Right.
That was it.
And it didn't take us very long to see that something's going on in Michigan, but they ain't all that.
Right. So that ought to be an interesting game.
Speaking of teams that couldn't handle Michigan.
Well, I don't know about y'all, but like Ohio State may have thrown that game. I don't know.
But I told you, we had that conversation that if there was some nefarious stuff going on, that was the script, right?
And a lot of, man.
I'm just monitoring what's going on in Washington, D.C. with bills being introduced. Are we ratifying them? Are we approving them? Is it happening only in Columbus? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, right.
Like, the amount of times y'all
By
passed.
the way, that is so totally embarrassing.
Uh-oh.
If I were the chancellor of Ohio State University and the coach, I would go to them and say, like, so basically what you're telling us is that any Rudy Poot in the nation can come up here and beat us. And we have to stop this flag planting thing because we're liable to lose any game, anytime.
Hell no.
That's
Really, Dwayne
embarrassing.
Get out
That's
of town,
embarrassing.
dude.
Just say like, hey, y'all, win next time. Right. We're going to make it a felony. It's a felony to plant a flag, which you can't plant because it's a turf field that you just can bang down on like, huh?
It's beyond absurd.
It's absurd. So anyway, not to go astray, but that was so stupid. First of all, and if I'm the Big Ten commissioner, I'm still like, what are you all doing? I'll outlaw it. It's a $150,000 fine if you do that mess in an opposing stadium.
Uh-huh.
It's done, okay? But it's a felony to do that. That means, y'all just expect to lose to Michigan every other year at home. That's embarrassing.
It's beyond absurd.
That's absurd.
And the things that, in college sports nowadays, for that, for us to say that's beyond absurd is really saying something.
That's saying something,
Great
right?
point.
All right. This is going to be the best game of the weekend, I think.
The finale.
Okay.
I like it that way.
Finale. Right.
And I did, I don't know, it's 7 to 7.5, 7.5 currently, but what do you guys, 46.5? Is that what y'all got it at?
I got 47.5.
Yeah,
What?
I've seen both. I've
Okay.
seen both.
So, Ohio State, if they didn't throw the game, they struggled. They struggled to stop Michigan's offense. And I don't give a damn what the weather's going to be in Columbus.
Decent. All of them are decent. I
Okay,
looked it
well,
up.
people are talking about, Nico's going to have to. He's a Southern Cowboy. He's going to go there. He's going to struggle. Yeah. No. Okay, so the Vols' defensive line in this game is going to be the key for me. We know Tennessee can score. They can run. They can pass. They can do a lot of things. And I'm really shocked that they're favored by 7.5. I did not think it would be that much. I think 3.5 or 4. I think this is the lock of the weekend. I think the Volunteers cover. And put some money on that money line, too. I think they win this game outright.
Marty, you just beat me to the punch.
They win outright.
Of these games, I said, like, first of all, Tennessee could win this football game.
Yeah.
No joke.
And I'm looking at the 7, and they pushed to 7.5, which means, like, oh, man, I still win if Ohio State wins by a full touchdown. Oh, yes, I'm on Tennessee.
And I got the under, too. Sorry.
And I got the under also.
Yeah, let's go.
I got Tennessee in the under.
I didn't feel inspired whatsoever by that performance versus Michigan. The fact of the matter is that you allowed the Wolverines to basically run roughshod over you, and I'm not talking about the flag nonsense.
A one-dimensional
Held the
team.
ball, yeah, for almost 34 minutes. As a team, you were barely able to rush for 70 yards, and all of a sudden, I feel, suddenly, Alvin, much more confident in what Tennessee has going on the ground in Sampson than I do in the twin tandem of Henderson as well as Jenkins. It's pretty remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Because think about it a second. If Michigan were a better football team and came into that game with a better, let's say, offensive record and better offensive stats, they would still be coming into that game, or Ohio State would still be coming into that game knowing like, man, they beat us twice. We have to win today.
Yeah.
We have to win this
Vital.
game. It's vital that we win this game for our program, for recruiting, for self-face. We have to win this game.
Yeah.
And they lost that game, which tells me that, man, you're lucky you didn't You're lucky you didn't play a better football team today than you did, or you might have got it handed to
Ass
you.
kicking. And they lost embarrassingly.
It's like, right. Now, all of us, did any of us play the under last week on that? 13-10. We said, Alvin, the score's going to be 13-10. Who won? I would have said Michigan won if it's 13-10.
Absolutely.
Right. We would all said, like, oh, if it's 13-10,
Yeah.
Michigan won. I don't know how.
I thought the Buckeyes would hang 30+ in that
Or at
one.
least I thought I had Michigan covering because it was too many points.
Mhm.
Okay? But Michigan covering because they won the damn football game? Oh, my Lord. Come on, man. Right. Ohio State. All right. Now you're going to give 7.5 to a team that comes in here that can actually play football?
Nope.
Yep. I ain't buying that.
I'm going to flip it around, though, at the end of the day.
All
I
right.
will,
All right.
because I just don't feel as if Tennessee down the stretch in the second half of the season has been nearly as dangerous, and I have seen some chinks in the armor in reference to Nico's play, too. I feel very confident in the way in which, obviously, Sampson is getting his job done, but by the same token, quite honestly, if I'm Ohio State, I'm almost borderline stacking that box and taking him out of it, because if you look back at the past 5 contests for Tennessee, okay, Sampson, not only is he the home run hitter, but the degree to which he has received the constant carries, 30 carries, 27, 25, he's been the workhorse. They want to funnel that offense through him. And still, with this defense, I don't know if he has faced the same level of athleticism and speed sideline to sideline. Now, also, you have to consider that Will Howard, not very good in that last game versus
Horrible.
Michigan. And also,
Like he threw the game.
opposing coordinators, I'm not going to say that they have devised or figured out a way to hold down Jeremiah Smith, but he hasn't been the same guy in November going into December as well for the vertical passing game. I'm also looking, though, I'm very much examining the fact, guys, that Tennessee has only had 2 challenges on the schedule since October the 19th. Now, what happened? You toppled Alabama for what it's worth. You lost to Georgia. What have we learned about this team in the interim? The Buckeyes have been sitting on this one since November the 30th. They are going to come out in the shoe, and they're at least going to take it by double digits. I'm not saying a full-fledged blowout, but by double digits at the end of the night.
Over under?
Let's go under.
I'm on the under.
Let's go under.
Like I say,
We're all on
I'm
the
under.
under.
But Bradford, I see differently, man. Only in that, like, oh yeah, we're upset because our arch rival came in here and embarrassed us, and we had a big fight on the field, and the legislature just lost their mind, and we're totally embarrassed, and so now we're going to go out here and whoop up on some team that's better than Michigan. Okay, all right, y'all pipe dreaming now. Oh, and by the way, all right, here's another thing. Who's y'all's coach? Like Ryan Day,
That's-
inspirational figure?
Yep.
Fellas, we're going to pick up the pieces, and we're going to kick ass now. Right. They're probably looking at him like, wait, dude, if we lose this game, you might be out of job.
Well, that's
right.
what I was going to say. Is he is out of a job if they lose this game,
You
right?
think so? I don't think you can fire him because that wrecks recruiting and guys will transfer. I don't think you can fire him if they lose, even if they were to lose big. I don't think you can fire him because you got to have some continuity, and you tell him like, all right, dude, obviously next year is it. Okay, so I don't think he'll get fired if they lose, but this, all of a sudden, he's a great coach, and all of a sudden, we got great players, and all of a sudden this, and all of a sudden that. I don't know.
Sorry, boys, the UNC gig is taken, though. You can't head to Chapel Hill because the old folks' home.
I don't know.
is
But you know what?
populating
If I got fired tomorrow, I would tell my agent, monitor that North Carolina thing closely, because I might have to go there in about June or July when Belichick decided I don't want this job.
No,
Oh,
the
no,
succession
that ain't-
plan is in place. Stephen, come here.
Oh, is that it?
Allegedly.
I don't know.
Hey, listen, man. It's an NFL game now. He's gonna build whatever the hell front office he wants. He's gonna get whoever he wants
He
there.
took
The list
Lombardi
goes
down
on.
there
He's-
with him. He took some other folks with him.
Yeah.
All right.
The party in Chapel Hill, they're gonna be a national powerhouse in not next year, the year after.
Powerhouse.
Wait,
Oh, yeah.
powerhouse. I'm 19, and Bill Belichick gets in my face. And meanwhile, standing in the background, his 24-year-old girlfriend. No, I'm up out of here, man.
No, look what he's done in the NFL. You can get me to the NFL. You can do that. Oh.
But it's college football. It's college football. It's not the NFL.
But they aspire to be in the NFL,
So what?
and they see what
So
he's
what?
done.
So what?
They want to be there.
What teams have the most players in the NFL? USC suck. Or not suck. Man, we can go through the whole thing. Alabama, are they in the playoff? Nope. No, all that. Okay, all right. I'm just telling you, this thing won't work.
Okay.
Bill has that Riz now. Come on, he's at basketball games. He's out there front and center with
Right.
the media. He's got that
Right.
Riz.
He doing that. He doing a podcast, Instaface or whatever he called it. Really cute. Okay. All right. Until like, hey, I'm Alvin Reed, and my mom and my grandma and my dad said I got to get $550,000 a year to play. And Bill said, like, you're not a $550,000 a year player. And he said, like, well, you know who says I am? This college, that college, and this other college. Bye. You don't draft players anymore. You got to beg them to come to your school.
In fairness, though, what's the worst that could happen for UNC? Okay, it's not as if, with all due respect to the great Mac Brown, you haven't exactly been sending shockwaves throughout college football.
But why
okay?
you got to have an 80-year-old coach? Like, come on. That's another thing. I'm just like, wait, we couldn't find anybody that we're going to pay this money to that's younger than this, that might be whatever. Is Bill Belichick going to come here and change the dynamic of where North Carolina football is by being Bill Belichick? No. A, it's a basketball school. B, Hubert Davis already been on the phone and said, I need some more money. I need some more facilities. I need this. I need that. Because if you think this guy's coming down here and turning the football team into something that's better than this basketball program, you're crazy. And half of the state, more than half of the state of North Carolina, agrees with that.
He's going to be concentrating, though, exclusively on the X's and O's. He's not going into living rooms. That doesn't even happen in this era of college.
It doesn't happen.
Would you? If I don't see my head coach, I'm not going there.
He's not going.
All right.
You really
He's
think
not- he's
going to go
literally
there?
not
He
going.
coaches
Well,
living room circuit.
hey, coach, can you bring your girlfriend with you? I want to check her out. What are you going to say to that? Right. Huh? Y'all,
Something to
this
wait
is
for.
craziness. This is craziness. It will not work. I could be wrong. And by the way, if they go to a bowl game next year and everybody said, oh, this is just the great. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not down with it. Everybody said, oh, he could do this and he's going to change. He's Bill Belichick. He's, what, 78?
Mhm.
He wants to break Don Shula's record.
Got a 5-year
He doesn't
contract.
want to. He doesn't want to win college football games in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, playing Appalachian State on the September.
Then why'd he go there?
I don't know. Let me ask you that.
Because he was spurned by the NFL and
Once
he simply
again.
didn't like the landscape, whether or not you believe the reports about inquiring as far as the interest was concerned with respect to the Jets.
Jets. And
It's a young man's coaching game in the NFL.
That's true. But he went to the Jets. But of all teams, the Jets, I made fun of Woody Johnson for the last 8 weeks. Hey, Woody, I would be interested in that job. I could just imagine what Woody Johnson said. All right, so then you put feelers out there. All right. Meanwhile, Jerry Jones is talking about, man, we might bring Mike McCarthy back. I guarantee his people reached out to Jerry Jones, and Jerry Jones said, like, no, it ain't happening here. Right. You know, who else need a coach? And they probably said, like, So, all right. So he takes this job. All right. But why? Why? Because my dad coached at North Carolina when dinosaurs was roaming the earth. Come on. It doesn't make any sense.
So are you actually more enthralled by Rich Rod's return to Morgantown
Oh,
than something
Lord.
like this?
Now, that one, I really don't get.
Nostalgia, baby.
Because they chased Rich Rod out of there, because I know back in the conference day, they chased Rich Rod out of there with a pitchfork. He got that job at Michigan. He said, like, I wish I never went. He said, like, you wasn't going to stay there. Right. They hated you. Rich Rod had a lot of baggage going on. I know some West Virginia people, kind of highly ranked, okay? Some deans, all right, and whatnot. I know their sons, daughters, okay?
Mhm.
Just per chance, all right? And let me tell you what. Rich Rod had wore his welcome out.
Mhm.
At that time, yes.
Right. Now, why he's being welcomed back, I don't know.
A
People-
return to glory.
Return to glory. And I don't know what he'll do. I don't even know if Rich Rod can even coach anymore.
I don't know how old that dude is.
Right. And I'm God bless Jacksonville State or the Dolphins or whoever the hell they are.
Why didn't we report that game?
Right.
Or,
But
yes, preview that
what
one.
did they really do that led him to being in this game?
Yeah.
They won some games? Come on back, Rich Rod. Nah, I don't get that one. I think, put it this way. In 2 years, I think Rich Rod will be more successful back at West Virginia than Belichick is at North Carolina.
Mark it down.
2 years. All right.
That's a good.
I
And then they're both out.
I'll have to marinate on that. But I will say what goes down in Chapel Hill, it's not going to be anything in the middle. It's either feast or famine. That's going to go on horrible or that's going to be off the chain.
If they went 12-1 and made the playoff next year, do you think Belichick would not take the first NFL job that was offered to him?
He gone.
Say, so what is the buyout or what does the contract say? I need to see that too.
He has a partnership with his new signal caller. They are going to be there to
He
build
did
this
say he
program.
wasn't leaving. You're right. I don't know. I put on a KU message board. I said, "What's the area code down at Chapel Hill?" Because when the second portal window opens up in the spring, I think there'll be some departures there.
Well, Belichick has been forever scarred by Mac Jones, so anything has to be better. Whether you're
Or
talking about
you go in and see
17-year-old,
your scowling coach and whatnot. And he's acting all like, oh, so like, yeah, right. And you're just looking at him, saying like, nah, I could play for my grandpa back in Cedar Hills or whatever.
Cedar Hills.
I'm like,
All right, well, that was some heat
I'm
on the
sorry.
tail end of that.
I'm
No, don't apologize.
sorry.
I love it.
But I'm just like, hey,
why not?
I'm not buying this. I'm not. I'm
Okay.
not.
Well, stay tuned. Be very interesting to see what transpires in Chapel Hill. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure. Let's get those X handles real quick.
A.A. Reed Jayhawks, and I'll have a simpler one next year, I promise.
All right.
Okay. At Game of Bruns, don't forget, in addition to round 2, the next time we convene for the College Football Connection, of course, we have to dig into that Music City Bowl, Iowa and MU. It's December the 30th, so we will have a number of the other consequential bowl games in addition to the necessary CFP action.
Yeah, we got a lot of pigskin to go down before we hit the hardwood.
I'm ready.
Yes. All right, gentlemen. Hey, happy holidays to everybody out there. If we don't touch base before the 25th, we appreciate every one of you guys listening. It has been a pleasure, and we will touch base with you guys next week. In the meantime, go Irish.
You've been listening to the College Football Connection podcast with Marty Jenkins and Alvin Reed on 101 ESPN Sports Talk for St. Louis.